Okay, we're going to take a look at the way life was in Jamestown. And this kind of goes along with the project you're doing in class of the colony you're creating. So we're going to take a look at how the first colonists who did survive Jamestown ended up becoming wealthy, to analyze the development of slave labor in Jamestown. Now, Jamestown was a Virginia company, offered people willing to move to Jamestown a headright. Okay, a headright was 50 acres of land given to each person who could pay their own way to Virginia. So you get 50 acres of this land that was claimed by England if you could pay your own way. So if you're in Europe at the time, if you were not wealthy at all and land ownership was something that you have never seen before, only the wealthy owned land in Europe. So the idea of having 50 acres of land for yourself to own was awesome. The problem is having to pay your way to get to Virginia. Okay, so what is an acre anyway? So if you are farming an acre, it is 4,840 square yards, or 43,560 square feet. So here's your basic football field or soccer pitch. 1 acre is a little bit more than half of a field. And you see an acre of land. So they would get 50 of these. Okay, so if I'm a wealthy Englishman, he says, "Cheerios, mate." And forgive my horrible British accent. How about working for the Virginia Company in the beautiful settlement of Virginia? After all, only 66% of the people have died, so you have a 1 in 3 chance of surviving. Would you do that? Okay, also, everyone that can pay for their own journey to Virginia will receive 53 acres of land. Sounds like a okay deal, as long as I'm one of the 33% that survive. Okay, so here we are. It sounds tempting, but we have a good life in England. Why should we give up this good life? And here are your wealthy people of England. Okay, and if I go, I'll have to work. Yuck! All right, women in the New World definitely had to work in order to survive, just like the men did. Okay, this poor person in Europe would love to have acres of land of his own. He says, "Sounds great, sign me up. After I receive my headright, I'll finally have my own land. The only problem is I'm broke and I can't pay for the journey." And then, too bad, you say? Darn. Okay, so here's some advertisements. Come, a good speed to Virginia. Please come and colonize our land. You get 50 free acres, and hopefully you'll survive. Okay, so the Virginia Company hired what were called indentured servants. So indentured servants were individuals who worked without wages. So a wage is what you get paid for a specific number of years, usually 4 to 7 years, in exchange for transportation. So the deal is, we will bring you there for free. Okay, then you work 4 to 7 years, do what we say, and then after those 4 to 7 years, you'll be granted your 50 acres. So in 1619, the Virginia Company brought the first Africans to Jamestown as indentured servants. So you had poor Englishmen coming over and also Africans being brought. And at this time, Africans were treated as indentured servants where they were promised their land, and some even did get land. But afterwards, the Africans were used as slaves where they were not going to get any land at all and no political or any kind of freedom at all. Okay, so this agricultural society of growing tobacco is going to cause a demand for labor and cheap labor, free labor, in the expense of the Africans. Okay, also in 1619, male settlers chose the Burgesses, or representatives that met in assembly called the House of Burgesses. The House of Burgesses, along with the governor, made the laws for Jamestown, becoming the first representative government in the English colonies. So if you are a representative government, it's a government in which voters elect representatives to make laws for them. Okay, so kind of similar to the our representation that we have today. Okay, voting rights. In order to vote, you had to be male and you had to own property. Okay, by 1723, the right to vote was taken away from free black property owners as well. Okay, African Americans would not be able to vote, at least in the United States, until after the Civil War. Okay, so you see this cartoon of the time, what a woman may be and yet not be able to vote. So she could be a mayor, a nurse, a mother, a doctor, a teacher, okay, a factory worker. But then they compare what a man could be and still be able to vote. He could be a convict, he could be a lunatic, he could be a proprietor of white slaves, unfit for service, and a drunk. But he could still vote just because he's a man.